What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and it's that time of the month where we are going to look at the aggregate value of the top 20 singles cards and booster box prices from every set that had a booster box in the Sword and Shield era and how it's moved month over month. And as you can see, we started this journey back in September of 2023, and today we're going to be talking about why the crash in Sword and Shield might actually be over. Maybe now is the best time to start buying some of these Sword and Shield singles. I talk about window of opportunity, right? Maybe the window of opportunity to buy these cards at these really low prices compared to where they were 6 or 8 weeks ago, maybe it's coming to an end, and there is a good amount of data here to support that theory. Now, I will also cover my butt and say, listen, I don't know what the future is going to hold. No matter what these patterns suggest, patterns can break, and we don't really have enough information. You might be thinking, oh my gosh, September of 2023 till now, that's a really long time. There's all kinds of data points here, but we need years and years of this to, really start to drive in a whole lot of confidence. But the patterns that we've seen in the past have absolutely repeated themselves, at least up till now. And so it all started really in 2024 in the month of April. And the pattern that we noticed when we went back and looked at it in hindsight is we saw, okay, April of 2024, we saw one of the biggest booster box jumps that we had seen up to that point. And then in the very next month of May, we saw the singles cards shoot up, right? The aggregate value of the top 20 singles cards from April to May went up 35.69%. Now remember, that was the month after we saw a big jump in booster box prices. Now, the other thing that we called out was 2 months after that, the prices started to come back down. We went through a period of softening. So remember that. Look at how it goes green, green, and then 4 blocks of red right there. Well, look what happened when you go back to January of 2025. Again, we had a really huge jump in booster box prices from December of 2024 to January of 2025. Booster box prices went up 30.39%, an absolutely astronomical jump month over month. And then what did we see in February? Well, single card prices from January to February went up almost 21%. So again, back-to-back times where we have seen a big booster box jump was followed by a big singles card jump. Now, why might I be saying that I think the time to buy Sword and Shield singles cards could possibly be now? Maybe we're going to start seeing this short, abbreviated downturn in the market reverse itself. Well, it's because if you look at what the booster boxes did in the Sword and Shield era from April to May, they went up 20.46%. So a bigger jump than the first example, a lesser jump than the second example, but still up 20.46% is a huge jump in booster box prices month over month. At least up till now, we have seen that after a big jump in price in the booster box, the month after we see the singles cards go on a really aggressive tear as well. So there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And there is something that's a little bit different too. So I wanted to call this out because it's relevant. So if you look in the past, when we look at April of 2024, where we had our first big booster box jump, if you look in April of 2024, singles cards went up too. Now, they didn't go up a ton. They went up 6.77%, which is a huge month over month jump, but it was nothing compared to that 35.69% jump. Then if you look at January 2025, again, really strong month for singles cards, right? It went up 13.74% month over month. Not as big as the 21% that we saw the following month, but still, there was positive momentum in the singles card space at the same time that we saw those big booster box prices jump. And the call out that I have, obviously you see the red line rolling over, is from April to May, the top 20 singles cards actually came back down. So in the other two earlier examples, the momentum was already there. This would have to break the momentum. So that's why I'm a little bit on the fence. So since I was on the fence about what was going to happen, I have no idea. You know what I did? I get to play with some really cool AI tools at work. So I put it through an AI data analysis tool and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to upload this into you. I'm going to ask you tons of things. I'm going to write out some prompts. Let's figure out what kind of information you can give me, because if I can't come to an answer, well, let's see if there's something in the data that I'm just not seeing. And this is what it ended up spitting out, which I thought were some really, really cool call outs. So when you look at it, booster box prices increased 15 of the 21 months. So booster boxes obviously have a tendency to do really well. However, the cool call out for me was 14 of those times the following month, top 20 singles card prices went up. So again, remember what I just said. 15 times booster box prices increased. 14 of those 15 times, the very next month, singles cards went up in price. 93.3% of the time, when you had an increase in booster box prices one month, the very next month you also saw an increase in top 20 singles cards. So that, again, kind of validates my original thought that, hey, booster boxes are up 20% over the last month. Maybe we're starting to see that market turn a little bit. The other thing that was interesting here is booster box prices dropped 6 different months. And guess what? The top 20 singles cards never dropped the next month. They never, not once. And it even went on to call it out. When booster box prices fell, top 20 single cards did not drop, did not follow with a drop, not even once, which is really cool. And then this awesome conclusion down here at the end. Booster box price increases last month are the strongest predictor of top 20 singles growth. But the reason I thought this was super impactful and the reason I thought this was a fantastic answer is because in the bottom you see it says the trend is noisy. Set popularity, chase cards, macro sentiment can all play major roles in this. So at the end of the day, we're following the patterns, we're following the trends. There's obviously a very, very strong precedence that booster box price growth, because think about all that's happened since September of 2023. The market has gone through all kinds of different, supply and demand. It's gone through all kinds of different end of Sword and Shield, like introduction of Scarlet and Violet. Like there's a lot that has happened in the macro sense since September of 2023. But even with all of that has gone on, 14 of the 15 times when we have seen booster box prices grow, the very next month we've seen top 20 singles cards grow. So that was my big takeaway on this. I know it's super data heavy and I know it's super nerdy, but as I always say, listen, we all work really hard for our monies. I have a ton of fun in the Pokemon space, but I have even more fun when I buy cards at great value, and that is what I'm looking for. So before I get into the cards that I think have some great value right now, I got to give my selfish plug. As you can tell, I do a ton of work behind the scenes here on this channel. I enjoy doing it. I have fun doing it. But the best way to say thank you to me, if you find value in it as well, is by hitting a thumbs up button or hitting the subscribe button. We do this stuff all the time, and I actually have 2 different data sets that I am currently running out of this data set, which are so cool. I'm going to do separate videos on them, which I think are going to give us an even better understanding of the correlation between top 20 singles cards and booster box prices. So lots of cool stuff on the horizon if you're into this kind of data and trend analysis. So that's it. But as I said, we got to talk about what of these cards have been moving down. And as you all know, I'm a huge Gengar fan, so I have been watching the Gengar from Fusion Strike like a freaking hawk. And it has gone all the way down from $740 down to $581. It has dropped 21% over the last 3 months. And you see I have these blue arrows here, and these blue arrows are on top of these big spikes in that light blue bar graph. Those light blue bar graphs represent sales volume at TCG Player. So whenever you see a spike like that, sometimes people call it a buyout, and it is simply when a person or group of people or just randomly everybody decides to buy this card, but it's during a period of time when there is a large amount of these cards that sell on TCG Player. And what I look for is when you see that happen, most of the time during a non-downturn market, when you see that happen, the price will go up, okay? And that's why people call it a buyout. Sometimes people will try and buy every single one of a copy of a card on TCG Player and then relist them at a higher price because they quote unquote own the market for a short amount of time and turn a profit. But if you look at all of these cards, during each instance when you saw that light blue bar shoot all the way up, the price continued to go down, which to me, that just shows you that the market is in the middle of a broader downturn. This isn't a fluke, like the market is just in the middle of turning down. So what interests me to this was last month we talked about these cards and they were right at the $600 mark. And I said, is it going to break the $600 point? Is it going to continue to crash? And obviously the Gengar and the Giratina are down. Both of them got all the way up. The Gengar was up at 740. The Giratina got as high as 720. And now the Giratina is down again, 18.55%, sitting at 560 bucks. And the Gengar, as I said, is down at 581. So if you believe the market might be in the middle of a, turnaround, I'm not saying it's going to spike back up, right? Like I don't think that we're going to see this thing shoot up 35% like we did in one of the examples, or 20% like one of the other examples. I just don't think, because the momentum's not there, I don't think we're going to see these cards shoot up. But what I'm really looking for over the next month is, do they start to stabilize? Do we start to see some kind of floor built in? And again, as far as I'm concerned, you're never going to be able to time the bottom. That's a fool's errand. I just want great cards at great prices. And I think these cards are starting to get into that great price zone. And then of course I included the Lugia as well, because I think that card's absolutely stunning. I love the artwork. It's also the last card that came out in the Sword and Shield era from a regular set, so I thought that's an interesting comparison. But again, you see the same thing. Now, it's only down 9.4%, but remember, this was the last card to come out in the Sword and Shield era in terms of alt art chase cards, and Silver Tempest was available in the Pokemon Center for what felt like forever. So again, I don't think this card has had as much time to mature as the other ones here on this list, but all 3 of them are coming down, and as far as I'm concerned, I think they're starting to get into that fair price market territory. Now, talk about a card that marches to its own beat. And I do a lot of comparisons here as of late to Evolving Skies, because in my mind, what I really wanted to do when Scarlet and Violet came out, and I talked about this at the beginning of the generation, is if I can identify the next Evolving Skies, whatever that might be, I want to get in on it. There was never a bad time to buy Evolving Skies. There was never a bad time to buy a Moonbreon up to this point, right? And when you look at how all of those other chase cards on that previous slide had performed, all of them were down 18.5%, you know, down 20% on that Gengar from Fusion Strike. The Moonbreon is down, it's only down 3.67%. These high quality sets, these super high demand, they just kind of march to the beat of their own drum. They move with the market, you know what I mean? They're gonna shuffle just a little bit like everything else, but you don't see these crazy lows. You just see them hold a little bit more stability. So I thought this was a really cool card to call out and a really good lesson as I'm starting to sit here and look at a set like Prismatic Evolutions, and I'm starting to say, man, you know, I know that those Pokemon Center ETBs are super expensive. I know the Ultra Premium Collection boxes, which just dropped, are super expensive. But again, in 3 years, are those prices right now even going to matter? I think because they're just going to continue to do well. You know, the Sunbreon has a really low pull rate, just like the Moonbreon. So it's checking a lot of those boxes to be the big set from the Scarlet and Violet era. Then, of course, not every card performed terribly over the last 3 months. I mean, I have 3 cards here, you know, one of them is still down, but these cards have actually been able to hold on to their water pretty well. So you got the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars. You know, I'm a huge Brilliant Stars fan. I've said it for a long time. I felt like Brilliant Stars has been undervalued, and that card's only down $9, so it could be an interesting buying opportunity. It looks like it's flattened out, excuse me, down 9%. Looks like it's flattening out just a little bit. Then you got the Kickin' Chicken up there, another card with really awesome artwork, which has been on a tear. I mean, look at it. It was all the way up to $385. It's down off that $385 high, but still over the last 3 months, it's still up 4.4%. And then the Charizard from Champion's Path. You know, Champion's Path, I think, is a set that kind of gets overlooked from time to time. And this is another one. It's not up much. I would call it directionally flat, but still, when the broader market is going down and you have a card like this that is able to hold on to its price and stay flat, I think that's a great thing for the long-term prospects of this. So this has been a ton of fun. As I said, I got some really cool videos that are going to be totally data focused around some of those other metrics that we were talking about, around top 20 singles cards and booster boxes. So I hope you had a ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value in it. And if you did, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up to check out all the other cool views we have coming in the future. I appreciate you so much for watching. I hope you have an epic day, and I can't thank you enough. I'll talk to you soon, everybody. See you. Bye.